Digital euro will have maximum level of privacy, but not as much as cash. That's what the ECB board member says, or an ECB board member. And his name is Fabio Panetta. And he stopped short of saying that the digital euro would have the same level of privacy of cash. Well, that's an interesting one, right? Because cash, you can just trade for people like directly. Here's one thing that I always think about when we talk about it. Specifically, when we start moving into CBDCs and people's reactions to it, and it comes down to this, really, right? Remember back when we had the Xbox One announcement and then the PlayStation 4 announcement? Do you guys remember what happened there? Essentially, we had Xbox come out and they're like, you're going to get this media box. It's going to do everything that you want to. You'll have these digital licenses. The disc will be tied to the game, and therefore you can't just trade it with friends. Everybody lost their damn minds, right? When that happened, basically, Xbox killed that product almost immediately. The general public did not want to move into that digital age. And basically what ended up happening is right after that, PlayStation changed their actual presentation for this E3. I think it was E3 2012, if I recall. And they basically had tacked on a whole thing at the end where he said, hey, can I borrow that game from you? And he was like, sure. And he handed him the game with the disc on it. And this is something that always sticks in my mind, because if you recall, what ended up happening is that digital media still ended up taking over because of one reason and one reason only, and that was convenience. We do not have the same kind of trade with your buddy thing that happens all the time anymore, because Xbox and Sony, Microsoft and Sony have made it so convenient to just basically buy the game, download it, and start playing it. And because of that convenience, people have given up their rights of ownership of the disc. In fact, in the licensing now, since this time, we have seen licenses for digital media change to basically just a license to play it, not a license for ownership. When you go and purchase even a disc at GameStop or Best Buy or wherever it may be, that comes with a digital license to basically have that and play that item, but not to own it. And this is something that maybe we'll see shaken up in the future by NFTs and so on. And maybe we'll start to see a decentralized platform where people have ownership over their digital items. But as it sits right now, you don't really have ownership over your digital items. And it's all because the companies that sell these digital items have made it just more convenient. I mean, this started way, way back with Steam on PC, and this was nothing new to PC gamers, right? It's been forever since people have gone out and purchased, a PC game with discs and installed them, right? This is something that you used to do all the time. It's just non-existent on PC anymore, and it's becoming less and less of a thing on consoles. In fact, the latest generation of consoles, we see a digital-only version of the PlayStation 5 for a little bit cheaper, so you save some money. That sounds good, right? But it doesn't come with the disc player, and so you don't have that disc to put in, and you don't own that disc that you could trade off to a friend. In addition to that, on the Microsoft side with the Xbox One S, you get a cheaper product that doesn't perform well, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you're just wanting to play some arcade games, which then cool, go have fun with that. But it doesn't come with the disc option either. And it's that convenience and that lower price that really drives the adoption of this. And convenience will be what drives the adoption of central bank digital currencies over cash. And that's just really what's going to end up happening here. That being said, the digital euro will aim to complement cash and mimic its best features, a European central banker has told lawmakers, but it may not afford the same level of privacy. Appearing before the Committee of Economic and Monetary Affairs at the European Parliament on Monday, Fabio Panetta emphasized that there was no intention whatsoever to withdraw cash as a means of payment in the Eurozone. Quote, "We would not deprive citizens of any option," end quote, he said. Quote, "The options that are available today for them to do their payments would be available tomorrow plus one additional option," end quote. So how do you end up influencing people to move over, right? It's like this. You don't take away the cash right away, but you just end up replacing it slowly by making it more convenient for people. That's what we're seeing. Panetta is a member of the board of the European Central Bank, ECB, which is spearheading the investigation into the possibility of a digital euro. Like cash, Panetta said today a digital euro should be risk-free, accessible, and easy to use. Quote, "We'll try to replicate the features of cash that people appreciate, that citizens prefer," end quote, he said. That is maximum level of privacy. Of course, this doesn't mean that the digital euro will have the same level of privacy as cash, he added, but certainly will guarantee the maximum level of privacy. Panetta also raised the possibility that some transactions using the digital euro could be made anonymously. Quote, "We are studying, even though the technology is not mature yet, the possibility of having offline payments that for limited value payments could give people access to fully anonymous payments." Later in the session, Panetta added that the ECB has neither the desire nor the capabilities to keep track of each person using the central bank issued digital currency. That sounds like a bold-faced lie to me, dude. I mean, throw a tinfoil hat on me and call me Sally, but they most certainly do. I mean, at this point, like, it's one of those things when you ask ChatGPT or that new chat, well, what's the new AI in Snapchat? And you go, "Do you have my location?" And then it's like, "No, I don't have your location." And you're like, "Where's the closest ice cream store?" And it's like, "According to your location, the closest ice cream store is here." It's like, "We don't know your location, but we know your location. We're just going to disguise it under, once again, convenience," right? And so it'll be this kind of thing. "Oh, we don't know which central bank, like what your central bank digital currency wallet address is. We don't have that attached to you. But you want to get that tax return? Oh yeah, we can do that right away." Boom, just directly into there. Don't need to provide address or anything. Bing, bang, boom. It's my new favorite saying. Done, right? It's like, we don't have that capability to track it, but, you know, when it's convenient for you, we'll kind of prove that we do. That's how I read it. It's hilarious. "We have proposed that there would be no repository in which all of the information on digital euro users would be stored. It would be literally impossible." It'd be interesting. I mean, like, how would that be literally impossible? On a blockchain, if you're utilizing that, it's fully transparent. It's going to keep the ledger somewhere. So maybe, yes, they use some sort of privacy features from Z-Snarks or whatever it may be to implement into that. But do you really want me to trust that they're going to actually implement that or not, right? I just don't know that that's actually going to be the case. A decision has not yet been made on whether the digital euro would exist on centralized or decentralized technology. Panetta said that the architects of the project should be able to remain as flexible as possible while working out what might be the best approach. Now, that's going to be an interesting debate that takes place, I think, over central bank digital currencies being on centralized servers or on decentralized servers. I would assume that there will be a certain amount of it that needs to be on centralized servers so that there can be, you know, basically some sort of control over it to a certain extent. If you move the full decentralized path, right, which one would be more secure? I mean, there's probably an argument for decentralized currency to be more secure than centralized currency, because if you have a centralized basically entity running your central bank digital currency, that probably opens it up to easier attacks from other countries. If you have a decentralized central bank digital currency, then I think you probably make it more difficult to attack, provided it's proof of work, right? And that's where another kind of security layer and debate's going to come in with central bank digital currencies. European finance officials and lawmakers have been grappling with the question of privacy and the digital euro since it was first proposed. Earlier this year, Finance Minister from across the Eurozone said privacy was a key dimension and fundamental right in the development of a digital euro. But they added that the project should comply with other objectives such as upholding sanctions, I guess you could do geographic blocks, right? Upholding sanctions is an interesting one to basically go straight into, right? Because the entire problem that I think a majority of countries have currently, especially in the West with Bitcoin and so on, is that they have no control over the sanctioning of it, right? And that's why we're going to move into Russia here and talking about them becoming a large Bitcoin miner. And the ability to uphold sanctions, but also uphold privacy, seem to be juxtaposed, right? Like at the very least, they're going to know from where you connect to the network from so that they can manage that and push it into one sanction or another, right? Like if an IP is coming from Russia, block it. At the very least, there will be some geolocation technology going on here that will invade your privacy. That's the way it sounds to me. And preventing money laundering, illicit financing, and tax evasion. Well, what do they do if they're trying to catch somebody that's evading taxes? They track down the individual that owns that wallet. So there would be something put into place that would invade your privacy as a user of the digital euro. I mean, it's basically, like I said, they tell you one thing, but they're going to do something completely different. It's nutty. Mary McGuinness, the European Commissioner for Financial Services, echoed this sentiment last week in a debate on the digital euro, saying there was a delicate balance to be struck between privacy and anti-money laundering requirements. The project is one of the many digital finance frontiers that the EU is confronting as it updates its rules for the modern world. Last week, parliamentarians passed a landmark set of regulations for crypto service providers known as MiCA. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.